Welcome back, my gentle people. This is Corner Stories, and today we have some relationship stories for you. So let's get into it, and I hope you enjoy. Am I in the wrong for telling my partner if I can't mother his children then he can't father my child? I've been divorced from my husband 3 years. I met my now partner a year ago and he asked me out. I accepted. He also been divorced with 2 kids, 15M and 16F, who adore me and have accepted me as their dad's partner. My child is 5.5 male and his dad is still in his life, where my partner's ex doesn't see her kids as often. I'm constantly helping out the kids with their homework only when they ask me for help. I never push them and never expect them to call me mom. I'm happy for them to call me by my first name. Recently, let's call her Cassie, asked me to buy her pads and chocolates. As being a female, I understand her more than her dad. I went to the shops and came back with the pads and chocolates, where I found my partner in the living room really pissed off with me. He yelled at me why I didn't let him know what his daughter said, and that I'm not her mom and I will never be her mom, and to stop mothering her. I apologized, then handed Cassie the bag. That night while having dinner, my partner tried telling my son off. That's when I cleared my throat and said he's not his father and he never will be. Cassie and Tom laughed and said to their dad that he got what he deserved. It's been a week and James still hasn't spoken to me and is sleeping in the guest room. His children told me not to put up with their dad's attitude and that I did nothing wrong and I'm more as a mom to than bio mom is. James overheard his kids say this, which angered him, and he had to go to his kids. Tom told his dad he's pathetic and he's never happy for anyone but himself. James continued with his tantrum and the name calling. I had enough with his attitude that I broke up with him and asked him to get out of my house if he is going to be so disrespectful towards his kids and myself. That shocked him and he immediately apologized to us and started to cry and said he loves me too much to give up on us and that he understands I'm just trying to help, as he's done it all by himself without help and is too embarrassed to ask for help. I told him by helping him doesn't mean I'm replacing their bio mom. Both Cassie and Tom agreed with me and asked their dad to get anger management and to see a therapist to help him out. James starts his first session next week. We are working on our problems and are communicating more instead of yelling at each other. We both decided on not having any more kids as we are both happy with our little family we have. Some relevant comments. Honey, you're a very good person, but are also in an abusive relationship. His behavior, getting mad for nothing, calling you names, then being shocked at you taking a stand and crying saying he'll change, is really typical of abusers. Don't put up with his abuse, never. Read this book on abuse and try to work out strategies to deal with him. If necessary, break up with him and kick him out of your house. Better still, kick him out regardless. You two can meet when you like, but not live together. Be firm but play it safe for you and your kid. Actively participate in his therapy and voice all your issues. Set up boundaries of what's acceptable and what is not, and being called names is not acceptable, and establish consequences. Be firm to enforce said consequences. Comment 2. This was my first thought too. Oh no, this guy is a narcissistic abuser. Him flipping out over something so small, name-calling, stonewalling, and then the immediate flip to crying and professing his love and desire to change. He is at minimum extremely emotionally immature. His teen kids calling out his behavior means they've seen it all before. Hooray for therapy, but don't hold your breath for change. The proof's in the pudding. Is he willing to go long-term? Is he actively working in what they recommend? So you see measurable effort on his part? Can you go with him to communicate your issues in a safe environment? He can't hold you to a double standard. But also, buying his daughter pads and chocolate isn't the same as him berating your child. Now on to story 2. This one comes with an update, so stay tuned. My BF and I were supposed to move in together. 2 weeks ago, he bought a 87K truck without telling me. I refused to move in with him. I'm very annoyed. He didn't even speak to me about it. We had so many discussions about moving in together, getting married, and then he goes and purchases a truck 2K more than his yearly salary. If you're asking how can a truck be 87K, that's the price you get when you put every addition you want on it. He showed me the truck expecting me to be excited and I was livid. When he bought this truck, we were only a month from moving in together. We got into a bad argument where he told me it was his money and he could do whatever he wanted with it. So I said fine and I told him I'm not comfortable moving in with him anymore. I asked my landlord if my apartment was still available and if I could renew my lease, and they said yes. Now my BF is saying he can't afford his place and his truck. I don't feel bad. You should have thought of that before buying something so expensive without talking to your GF of 2 years. I have had some of his friends GF reach out to me and say I should support him, and one even say that I'm not loyal and this shows I wouldn't support him if we were married since I run away when finances get bad. That's bullshit. He didn't lose his job or get hurt. He bought an expensive item without discussing it. I have been trying to get him to return the truck because it's already affecting his finances badly. He has only had this truck for 2 weeks and he is worried that in the next month or two, he won't be able to cover all the expenses he usually has. This past weekend, we had another argument and I think our relationship is going to end. I'm not helping him pay for this truck and I'm not moving in with him. I have asked for a break and will be thinking about what to do. Edit. I appreciate the different opinions everyone has given me. I have a lot to think about. To answer 2 questions, no, he doesn't need the truck. He works from home and if he has to check in at work, he has an office. Also, his friends and their girlfriends know about this issue because he asked for their views when we went to a get-together last week. Only 2 GFS reached out to me to tell me I wasn't being supportive. The others have minded their business. Update. Yeah, so I broke up with him mainly because I realized we aren't financially compatible. Before I go into what happened, I do want to say something. I understand we weren't married, but we were both moving together into a new place and had several discussions about this move and our plans for the future, including marriage. For the people private messaging me saying it's his money and he can do whatever he wants, or, you're only 2 years into a relationship, you're not a wife. I know that and I have never asked what is in his bank account or told him what to do financially. I'm aware it is his money, but I also know his financial situation and he was making decisions without my input that, if we were to stay together, would not only affect him but also our relationship and our financial situation for years to come. I will die on this hill. This is not okay, and if it's okay for you, that's fine, but for me, if we make a financial plan and you make a huge decision without me, I won't be okay with it, and that's a big reason why I backed out of moving into a new apartment with him. I would have never made a decision like this without his input at all. The main reason why we decided to move in together was to take the next step in our relationship but also to pay down our debts. I now have $22,000 debt from student loans and a car. When I met him though it was around $60,000 and I was basically living on credit cards. Within the first couple of months of us dating, I saw how hard he worked, and with a salary at $85,000, he was making huge progress in paying off his loans and credit cards. On my end, at the time, I was only making $50,000. I honestly saw his work ethic and was like wow, and got serious about my debt. I got a second part-time job where I was making $32,000 a year, bringing my salary to $82,000. I did that so that I could pay off my debts faster, but also so that we could be on equal footing when we moved in together and he didn't have to pay significantly more in living expenses than me when he had more debt. We did a complete budget months before we moved in together and realized that we would each have $700 extra a month to put towards our own individual budgets. This is why the purchase of this truck was so surprising to me. We had planned this move for months. We had a budget and he destroyed that plan with the truck. If he wanted a new car, there are plenty of cars he could have gotten that would have fit into the $700 monthly surplus he had. Anyway, for the past few days before we broke up, he tried to show me that this truck was a good financial purchase and we could still move in together. He told me that he had actually budgeted for this and could show me how he could afford this. I wanted to hear him out, so I went to his place and he had 2 budgets. He said he had been thinking of getting this truck for some time and he had worked out a budget beforehand. He showed me the first budget, and after his truck, insurance, expenses, and his debts he was left with $115 for the month. I noticed with the first budget, he didn't include groceries, his hobbies, going out, or even gas for his car. I asked him how $115 was enough to live off of for an entire month. I asked him how he could afford all of this and his truck, and if he planned to give up some things. He said no, he didn't plan to give up anything and that he could make everything work in his budget. I asked him what if he had an emergency or needed gas for his truck, and he just kept saying he would work it out without explaining how. After I saw the first budget, I asked to see the documents for the car, and that's how I found out the truck price was $95,000 total after taxes, registration and fees. He traded in his reliable 2003 Toyota and all his savings to get a loan at 14% for 72 months. His monthly payment is now $1,966 and insurance is $573. He also still has student loans which are significant. I kept telling him $115 left over monthly wasn't enough. That's when he showed me his second budget, which had a combined higher monthly income. I asked him if he was getting a second job, and he said due to his job relying on him to be on call, he couldn't. I asked where the income was coming from, and this man said, well, you're getting a raise soon. I froze because I had mentioned this raise once months ago. My first job is my career job and I work in a field where when you hit certain milestones, you get a pay bump. In September, if my raise is approved, I will go from 50k to 80k, and with my second job, my total yearly income will be 112k. But getting the raise isn't a guarantee. You have to meet certain criteria and if you don't, you have to wait 3 months before trying again. When he said that, I was quiet and then I said, so you planned a budget that included additional income that I wouldn't get for at least 6 months and income that I might not even get in September. He said when I got my raise, the ratio of what he would pay would decrease and he would have more disposable income. I asked him why it was okay for him to plan budgets with my income but yet I had no say in how he spent his. He couldn't answer that. I told him I had no issue with paying more bills if I got a raise but the fact that he banked on that, didn't discuss it, and now expects me to be okay with this is ridiculous. I also said there's no way I wouldn't be paying more with the first budget because he wouldn't have been able to survive on $115. I told him he didn't communicate and this is on him because he made huge financial plans without discussing anything. Finally I told him I would never have done any of this without going to him first because I thought we were a team that was building something. I ended things the next day and he has been trying to reach out but I'm not interested. He has financially crippled himself with this truck. If with my income now, he could barely make it, he sure isn't making it on his own. I really hope that things work out for him and he is able to keep his truck and recover but am not paying the consequences for such a massive financial mistake that is going to hugely affect him for years to come. If I were to stay, this financial decision affects me as well and would continue to affect both of us for years. Again, this is different from becoming ill or losing a job. He chose this and refuses to budge and fix it. I now realize we are not financially compatible and that's okay and I wish him the best. Edit, thanks everyone for all the support. I don't hate my ex and I really hope he's able to recover from this. It was such a learning lesson for me in how one mistake can ruin you financially. It has made me even more cautious but also determined to keep working towards a better financial future for myself. Some relevant comments. People who will give her grief over this either have no idea how marriage is supposed to work or are bad with their finances. Financial incompatibility is a huge deal in relationships, and she is being incredibly mature here. Comment 2. Wholeheartedly agree. The fact that he is making all of these decisions that impact their stability and goals, without actually speaking to her is incredibly selfish. I don't remember correctly, but I believe that in the last post, his family was giving up a hard time about her not moving in and being happy about the purchase. At this point, I don't think he was upfront and honest with them. Well, since they feel like they can give input into a relationship that is not theirs, then they can help pay for the truck. The people who private message you knew that what they were saying was wrong. Your instinct and maturity is commendable. Story 3. I am still in whiplash after what happened last night when my boyfriend came over. For some context, I've been renting this room since January so I'm still fairly new to everyone's routine. I have a total of 3 other roommates. For the most part, everyone is very respectful of each other's space, privacy, boundaries, etc. That's why I still can't believe what occurred last night. I had my boyfriend, Ricky, over because it was his off day and we just finished working out and had dinner together. We were trying to find a good movie to watch, ended up watching Spaceman. It's absolutely amazing. 10/10. The roommate in question is Callie. Her room is directly across from my room, with the bathroom right in between us. The first half of the issue starts when my boyfriend goes to use the bathroom. Right as he's leaving, she's trying to open the door and says that she left her glasses inside. She is only wearing a towel wrapped around her because she showered not too long ago. This is important to the second part. Ricky gets out quickly and comes back to bed with me. Tells me about it and I just brush it off because the towel was wrapped around her. No big deal to me, but keep in mind that she's nearly walked in on me before when Ricky was staying over. Like the door is closed, she knocks and doesn't wait for an answer and tries to open it. Now the second part of the incident is when I have to use the bathroom. We're watching Spaceman and I have to use the bathroom an hour in. As I'm leaving my room, I see that her door is cracked and I barely have time to react when she also steps out of her room wearing nothing. The towel that was wrapped around her prior was now only hanging in front of her. I fully saw her breasts and pubic area, so I know she wasn't wearing like schemes or something. She sees me, says, "Oh," and I'm just in shock and I say something like, "Oh, do you want to go first?" I go back in my room and tell Ricky what happened. Now, I already have my opinions on why that happened and why she did what she did. My question is, what the hell do I do about it? Is the best course of action to confront her? I'd personally love to avoid any conflict because again, I've only been living with them for a couple months and I think having a convo about seeing her naked is very uncomfortable for the both of us. One solution Ricky said was that we go to the bathroom together from now on, but I know that's not exactly plausible because he has to use it much more often than I do. I really don't know how to go about having that conversation if I even need to have it, so any advice you have for me, I would really appreciate. Another question too, is it wrong for me to feel like she's possibly done it on purpose? She has made it clear she's very single and described my boyfriend as her type, white with tattoos and in the Navy. She talks to our other roommate how she's been striking out and hasn't been laid in a while. There's a lot of other context where she said notable things about me and that had me scratching my head. Comment 1. I think you should just let her know that when you have male company in the house it's expected that all of you will keep your clothes on. It's completely disrespectful. If she does it again, find another living situation. Comment 2. This is one of the weird ones where I say that the boyfriend needs to say something. Next time she does something like that, his response should be akin to EW. Put some clothes on. If you say something, she will make it out to be something else. If he says something that embarrasses her, she will never do it again. Comment 3. Were you expecting my boyfriend to see you? Is that why you're not dressed? Be direct. Update March 15, 2024, a few days later. Okay, so here's the update for my situation. I've tried to make this as concise as possible. Just know that I am gobsmacked by what our third roomie, Elena, has told me. I texted her yesterday while we were both at work to see if it's normal for that to occur. Elena said we would talk later in the evening and we did. To start off with, Callie is 37, not 27 as she has told me. Even the Facebook ad for the room said everyone is in their 20s. Come to find out that's not true, good on her because she did look older, just not 37 older. Elena has been a roommate with Callie for much longer than me. She's communicated to me her shock that it happened and said Callie is more often than not drunk as hell. She's an alcoholic and last night when Elena and I had our convo, Callie was drinking in her room, stumbling around and broke the shower rod in the bathroom. Elena said that Callie was drunk the night that she come out naked. And our fourth roommate, Tyler, who is a male, also saw her naked when she was going into the bathroom because he was in the kitchen. From what he said, he has never seen her exposed like that. Callie, Tyler and I share the bathroom, so no, her being a nudist is not a thing. Elena also confirmed that what happened was not a normal experience and that she had never seen Callie this bad before. Some things Elena mentioned also point to Callie being low-key a pick-me. Elena has said that whenever she has a conversation with Callie, she's always talking about these potential guys she's talking to, these sailors who are hitting her up and lots of military guys in general. I notice this as well when she talks to me. She has asked me to set her up with Ricky's friends and co-workers, but she was adamant about not seeing these two single co-workers. In a comment I mentioned how they're local, Hawaiian and Filipino, but she denied them because she likes her men white. And also, the guys that would be considered her type are our age, much younger, and a lot of them are already seeing someone. We actually hooked up one of Ricky's friends with my own girlfriend, so that was really fun. In fact, when Elena met Callie, Callie was talking about how she loved black men. Then when Elena started seeing white guys, Callie started talking about liking them too. Elena has never brought a guy home until last month because of Callie. Take that how you will. So many small details that didn't make sense in my mind about Callie finally came together when Elena started talking about her experience. Like how Callie would have the same convo over and over again with me, likely because she can't remember them, about Ricky, what he does in the Navy, he's a master at arms, meaning he's base police, and what gate he works at, how I sleep over at his place but I'm not supposed to, etc. This detail is only important here. Callie does work with the Navy base housing and she does have access to base. Her asking about what gate he works at was very unusual because the person you see at the gate is different every day. She's asked multiple times about which gate he works at. There is also an instance that I'm pretty sure Callie was flirting with my dad when he came over to help me move a couple times. And afterwards, she said how I should let her know if my dad is coming because she didn't know that day. The next time I texted that I was coming to move, she was wearing a red strapless bodycon dress. Elena also confirmed that she remembers that and also thought it was weird because that's not what Callie usually wears at home. Everyone tells me my dad is a good-looking guy, I just don't see it. Elena, who's been renting here the longest, has said that she is able to kick Callie out but expressed that she feels bad due to her not having anywhere to go. After confiding in Elena, she's agreed to initiate the convo about what happened the other night. Perhaps I will update on that later if it's substantial enough. For the people saying I'm insecure or trying to be controlling, I am comfortable and confident in my relationship and body. Both Callie and Elena wear what's considered as tight revealing clothes with no bra, occasionally when Ricky is around, and I have no issue with it. I've never made it a problem with them or Ricky. He is always respectful to them. The issue is with the fact of nudity, when she has never done this before according to Tyler and my own knowledge. I am not objectifying nor sexualizing her body by expressing my discomfort. The whole reason why I left my prior living situation was because my old roommate, someone I trusted and lived with, had taken advantage of me when I was inebriated. When I saw her naked, I was in a shock that was similar to when I was assaulted, and I just backed out of there as fast as I could. I have told Callie what happened to me, so she knows the situation. For those saying to have a threesome, Ricky has been very clear he is not interested in that with anyone, and I do not see myself consenting to that seeing as I'm straight. Maybe it's some of y'all's wet dream, but we can live without it, thank you very much. I mentioned in a comment, but Ricky only comes over a couple times a week due to our conflicting schedules. He typically will stay over Wednesday and or Thursday night, and I'd stay with him at his place Friday and Saturday nights. I've asked my roommates prior to moving in if it is okay to have overnight visitors, and they were completely okay with it. Also, he lives on base and I'm not able to go on and off without a sponsor or ID. Our routine for me to stay over is that I leave my car in a safe neighborhood, he picks me up off base, and then we go on base together. Doing that throughout the work week would be difficult because he starts at 4 and I have the typical 9 to 5. For my comment about spaceman, y'all have really never heard of subjectivity and opinions? Me and Ricky enjoyed it. Get over yourself. I'll try my best to answer relevant questions, but some of the comments are really emotionally draining. Top comment. I feel for you. My advice is to tell Callie that you don't have anything against her or her nudity, but you would like to establish a house rule that roommates need to be clothed in communal spaces. Also, that when a door is closed you knock and wait for the response before trying to enter. You could even tell her that seeing a roommate naked is triggering to you personally, but probably don't trust her with the story of your assault. Word it as you, a roommate, asking for something you need from the people you live with. As opposed to wording it as a personal flaw of Callie's or bringing her alcoholism up. Then she is less likely to get defensive and more likely to cooperate. Is Callie being seemingly desperate for a partner and struggling with alcoholism something you can ignore? If so, that's your best option, to focus on the behaviors that directly affect you. If her alcoholism and subsequent behavior becomes an issue, I'd research, maybe with Elena, how to best approach that conversation with Callie. If she's always drunk, she may not even be able to abide by a new rule of no public nudity and no barging in closed doors. It's great to know that if you give Callie a chance to correct and it doesn't work, Elena has the power to kick her out. Whatever happens, I hope you are able to get through it. It's so important to be comfortable in your own home. Good luck. And that is the end of the story. That's it guys, this is where I will leave you. I hope you enjoyed the stories I had for you. I certainly enjoyed them. Please be sure to drop a like or a comment, and it would mean a lot to me if you subscribe to the channel. Until next time, be kind, be curious, and I will see you. Corner Stories signing off.